What is up, Critics? In this video, we're going to be talking about the changes and additions that came with the new Contract DLC update. I will leave the link to the Rockstar Newswire and patch notes down below in the pinned comment if you'd like to check those out for yourself. But anyways, let's get started with some of the obvious and major changes and then work our way to the more detailed stuff. So first off, we have 6 new vehicles on the Legendary Motorsport website and 1 on the Southern San Andreas website, totaling 7 new vehicles for day 1 content, which isn't too bad. Also keep in mind that there are 10 unreleased vehicles for this update as well, with 8 of them being drip feed vehicles. And if you guys haven't seen my video on the drip feed cars, I will leave that linked above. So in total, between day 1 vehicles and drip feed, we have 15 new purchasable vehicles for this entire update, which isn't too bad. Now, in terms of properties, we received the new agency, which of course features the main Dr.Dre VIP contract, the security contracts, and the payphone hits, which you'll receive after completing 3 security contracts. Also, we have 3 new weapons, which are the stun gun, the EMP launcher, and the heavy rifle, which I did a thorough review and test on in yesterday's video if you guys haven't checked that out yet. Now, moving on to the more detailed stuff, this update features brand new upgrades for some of the new cars in game that can only be applied in the vehicle workshop of your agency. The first one is armor plating, which allows cars to take around 12 homing missiles with someone in it, which is just insane. The second one is the machine guns, which are basically like the ones on the Night Shark. The third one is oil slick, which makes anyone chasing you lose control of their car. And the fourth one is the Imani Tech options, which are the remote control unit, which basically turns your vehicle into an RC Bandito. And lastly, the missile lock jammer, which does exactly what it says and doesn't allow any vehicle with homing missiles or a person with a homing launcher to lock onto you. This is nice to finally have this option to protect yourself against griefers that are using Mark IIs, etc. It's just an awesome addition for sure. Now, unfortunately, you cannot install both of the Imani Tech upgrades on your car, so you're going to have to choose between one of them, either the RC or the missile lock jammer. And these options are currently only available on the Buffalo STX, the Dubachi Champion, the Enos Jubilee, and the Enos Deity. Also, for those of you who didn't know, those 4 vehicles also come with bullet-resistant glass as standard, which is awesome. Next up, for those of you who remember when the Tuners DLC released, Rockstar accidentally gave the normal Kuruma the armor of the armored variant, and they left it like that ever since that update came out, but now with the Contract DLC, they have finally fixed it, so now the regular Kuruma does have normal windows. Moving along, we have some new items for your character, so over 300 items of new clothing, 14 new face paints, 28 new tattoos, and 1 new hairstyle. Moving along, we have a new radio station that was added called Moto Mami Los Santos, plus new songs that were added to the West Coast Classics radio station and the Radio Los Santos radio station as well. Also, they added some billboards in West Vinewood to promote that new Motomami radio station. Next up, you can unlock even more new music by collecting 3 new media sticks. The first one is at Franklin's house in the backyard by the barbecue. The second one is on the rooftop of Record A Studios at the bar. And the third one will appear in the agency on your desk after completing the entire Dr. Dre story mission. Also, Franklin's house has been updated with his new car being the Ignis in the driveway and the new Astron with a plate text of Tanisha. And if you guys remember from story mode, this was his ex, but somewhere along the line they apparently got back together and apparently had kids as well, evident by the Clintons' wooden plaque and the children's toys in the yard. So very cool how Rockstar did that and gave Franklin an awesome updated story. Next up, daily fees have been reduced in game, which is nice. Some of those fees were getting way out of hand with all the businesses, and I'm glad they're a lot less now. Moving along, this one is quite random, but Rockstar has added the arcade game Cubed to the upstairs area of the auto shop business. Again, Very strange and random, but that's what Rockstar decided to do. Next up, you can alter the number of laps in the LS Car Meet head-to-head races, which is nice, and if you set more laps, the awards will increase. Moving along, players can now get LS Car Meet rep by doing the auto shop business contracts, customer deliveries, and the exotic export deliveries as well. I'm glad they finally made this change. This was something that should have been part of the Tuners DLC since the beginning as an extra way to earn rep, but it's nice that they actually went back and actually added it. Next up, the safe capacity for the nightclub and the arcade have been increased, which is a great change, so you don't have to go there as often to collect your full earnings. Moving on, this is a bit of an unfortunate one. Rockstar has nerfed all the Tuner DLC cars and given them the slow handling flags, which disables the double clutching or mid-drive speed boosting and makes them slower over bumps as well. So this is a real shame and honestly a pretty bad move on Rockstar's part because of the people who already invested into these cars and bought them knowing they performed a certain way, and now in the garage they have a slower car. That to me is a bit unfair, but hopefully they change that in the future. Also, according to WildBrick142 on Twitter, a brand new advanced handling flag has been added to the Banshee, the Sentinel, the Brioso, the Turismo Classic, the Hakachu Drag, and the Devest 8 as well. At the moment, we're not sure what this new flag does exactly. I've personally tested some of these cars, and at least to me they feel exactly the same as before, so at least they didn't ruin these cars. Next up, the Heavy Sniper Mark II now only takes one shot to kill somebody in the torso. We're not sure if this is something Rockstar is going to keep or if this is an unintentional bug, but for now, you can kill players with one shot with the Heavy Sniper Mark II, which is pretty awesome. Moving along, the RC Bandito UI was updated, so now it looks a bit more like the Nano Drone instead of a normal car like it did before. Next up, if you go to the map and you go to different races and certain missions, it does show a new custom thumbnail for them, which is kind of interesting. Next up, something that was changed about a day after the contract DLC released. You can now do security contracts in invite-only sessions, friends-only sessions, etc., which is awesome. So for those of you who didn't know, for day one of this DLC, most players were only able to complete the security contracts in a public session, which was very annoying, especially with the griefers in those sessions. So if you restart your game, you should now be able to do them in private sessions, which is awesome. And lastly, they have fixed a ton of bugs and glitches for the auto shop business, the LS Car Meet area, the Cayo Perico heist, and the Casaca as well. And they also fixed a lot of bugs in missions, loading screens, properties, and more. Again, I will leave the link to the full patch notes in the pinned comment if you want to see those for yourself. Again, I didn't cover every little change in this video, but I did cover most of the major ones. Anyways guys, hope this was helpful. Let me know down below in the comments what are your favorite additions and changes for the new contract DLC update, and also what you disliked the most from the update. I think the worst thing they did in this update was touch the tuners' vehicles. They should have not done that. They should have left them as is, but that's a rant for another time. Hopefully they fix it in the future. Overall, this is a pretty good update with a lot of great additions, changes, and a phenomenal story. But in terms of the cars themselves, I understand cars is not the focal point of this update, but I do feel they could have done a bit better, as most of the cars in this update in general are just kind of reskins of existing old ones in game, and I feel that's a bit lazy on Rockstar's part. But again, the story itself is the main highlight of this update, and I think Rockstar did a phenomenal job with that aspect of this DLC. Anyways guys, hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.